In this episode of TWiP Talks, it's all about the wedding school with Susan Stripling. All right, guys, I'm here with Susan Stripling. She's an educator and a wedding photographer, or you might say a wedding photographer and an educator. In either case, she's someone that's working on this awesome new project that she's going to tell you about. I'm going to tell you about it as well. But it's designed to help folks that are trying to get into the wedding photography industry get in with the least amount of friction possible. It's called the Wedding School. So, Susan, welcome to This Week in Photo.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Hey, it's good to have you on. All right, so let's dive into this thing. I know you were on TWiP Weddings with Bruce Clark a while back, and this was before you guys launched the school thing, right?
Yes.
Now it's out. You've got students in there. It's churning along. You know, how's it going now? Is it going good, bad, ugly?
It's going great. When we came in, I talked to you guys before we were looking at our first launch week and setting it up, putting in the new content, letting people come in for the first time, and we had our first round of enrollment. We had another round of enrollment around about WPPI time. Yep. But it was just getting that first group of people in there, letting them check out the videos, download and read the textbooks, and just tweaking it up, seeing what their needs were, making sure we were meeting them. And now we're in an amazing place. It's been a couple of months later. The response has been beyond what I could have possibly expected. It's been excellent. And we're about to open up again for our next round of enrollment with some guest instructors. So we are doing that at the end of April, and I'm super excited.
Yeah, I want to talk about that too. So before we do that, because there's all kinds of crazy stuff you guys are doing, congratulations on everything. I think
Thank you.
Yeah, you found a pain point and you're applying.
Wedding photographers.
Yeah, we're always in pain for some reason.
We are, it's true.
Okay, so all right, so the school's out there, people are loving it, good reception. So the numbers in terms of enrollments, that's where you guys, is it where you projected, or were you blown away? When
we first put it out there, I knew that there were going to be a lot of questions about how is this different from other things you've done educationally? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Right now, maybe it looks kind of similar. And we thought it would take a little bit longer for people to see where we were going with it. But from the very beginning, response was many times more what I expected. And I'm the group pessimist out of all of us. I'm the one who assumes that like 3 people will sign up and nobody else. Yeah. So we got more than 3 people. It's a very good thing. But it surpassed all of our expectations. We were shocked. And that really just validated to us the need for something like this. So we knew people would like it. We knew it would help a bunch of people, but we didn't know that the industry as a whole was going to respond so kind of incredibly positively and with so much excitement. So that's been incredibly exhilarating.
Well, take me inside the school. What is this school? And this is going to be a segue into my next question, which is why the school. So take me inside. What does it look like? This is an online school, right? Yes. So what's the experience like?
So what the experience is like is it works really on whatever level you're at as a wedding photographer. We've got a bunch of people in there who haven't shot their first weddings, or they've only shot their first couple. We've got people in there who've been in business for 2 years, people who've been in business for 15 years. Mm-hmm. And where we take you first is the fundamentals. We've identified, 5 different pillars of what it takes to run a successful wedding photography business. And it's not just shooting. A lot of people get into it because they love taking pictures, right? Like, why wouldn't you? Yep. But there's so much more you have to know to be able to run a successful business. So pillar 1 is business and finance. Number 2 is sales and marketing. Post-production, which is a major thing all itself. And then we broke the last 2 up into 2 sections. There's photo skills, which is everything from what lens are you using to what f-stop and how are you lighting it. Then we have what we've identified as wedding skills. And that's, okay, you're great at taking pictures. Now you've got to be great at handling weddings. Everything from managing timelines to putting together family formal groupings, the intangible things that make it wedding photography, not just
and that scare other people away, right? Like, okay, how do I, there's a crazy bride or a crazy bride's mother. How do I deal with her? Or like interpersonal relationships within the family. Uncle Bob is divorced from Aunt Ginny, but they're both at the wedding.
And then I tried to put them in a picture together, and then it got super awkward and stuff like, so your clients want to do a first look before their wedding ceremony. What is that? How do you handle that? Almost like the psychology of it And also keeping things running smoothly, what pictures you'll be expected to take and when, all of those things that make wedding photography.
Wow.
So we take people through a series of fundamentals that takes them through pillar one all the way through to the end, where you get a very good, very in-depth overview of everything you need to know. So if you've been in business for a long time and you're watching this, it will be, I don't want to say a refresher course. There's definitely lots to be picked up along the way. But if you're brand new or if you're building or if you're transitioning, it's a great kind of 101 intro into wedding photography.
I love it.
From there, where it gets really great and what we're most excited about, we're calling it the learning library. So for each one of those pillars, you have a subsequent learning library where we put all of these deep dives into subjects in a very specific way. So for example, if we're talking about wedding skills, and I say, I have this wedding day worksheet that I have my clients fill out 2 months to 6 weeks before the wedding. It helps me with the timeline. It helps me with family formals. I talk about it pretty much like that in the Fundamentals series. Then there's a corresponding deep dive video. So let's say you want to learn more about that wedding worksheet. You hop over to this video over here, and it's an hour on, this is every single question I ask. This is why every single question is important. So you can take the fundamentals and you can figure out what you want and need to learn more. And then finding the corresponding, we call them like the 201 level classes, right?
Yep.
You've got 101, now you want to learn more. We're building more. And that's what a lot of the April event is going to be. It's rounding out those photo skills fundamentals.
Yep.
And then we're bringing in instructors beyond myself who have amazing areas of expertise to provide content for the learning library.
Now, when someone comes into the school, and I made a note here to ask you,
sure.
So wedding photography as a business it's in a constant state of flux, right?
Yes.
New tools, new techniques, new labs, new controversy, the shoot to burn photographer versus the high-end photographer, destination weddings. It goes on and on and on and on, right? So does the wedding school tackle it from kind of a baseline DNA level, or are you aiming to generate state-of-the-art wedding photographers circa 2016, 2017?
Yes. Yes.
All of the above.
Well, but what we strive to do with the fundamentals is establish a baseline, right? Like a benchmark baseline of these are the things you need to be proficient in. These are the things you need to know. But the great thing about the learning library is it can always stay current. So for example, I did a class on social media marketing, and within 3 weeks of putting that class out, Instagram changed its algorithm as far as how you get seen in someone's Instagram feed. So if I had done this class for anyone else or given this workshop anywhere else, this would just be information out there that's just out there and it's already dated. With what we've got now, as things change, as technology changes, as trends change, we have the ability to stay on top of it. And not just me, if we identify that there are experts in the field who specialize in these things that are changing, we're sourcing them to come teach. Because I know a lot, but I'm just one person. Right. And I run a business in one way. Yeah. So it would do a huge disservice to the community to only have my voice be the one teaching. And
you're still running your business, right? So this,
oh yeah,
you're an active, popular, highly sought after wedding photographer that's also taking your in the trenches learnings, pluses, minuses, good, bad, ugly, and giving them to your students.
Yeah,
right?
I shoot about 45 to 50 weddings a year. So I know.
Each one of those weddings is what, about $2 million? So let me do some back of the napkin.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there are a lot of things that you can teach as a photographer if you're not actively out there shooting weddings. There's lots of skills. I mean, there's a lot of education to be had. Yeah. But if I'm going to teach ongoing sales and marketing and ongoing business and finance, I can't teach it if I'm not doing it. Yeah. So I will take one for the team and keep being a wedding photographer.
I mean, that's what, I mean, frankly, that's what holds back a lot of brick and mortar schools, right?
It's true.
They're staffed with people that aren't necessarily doing the stuff professionally that they're teaching, which just by virtue of doing that leads to not current information being transferred over to the students. So the onus becomes on the student to stay up to date and take what they're learning with a grain of salt, right?
Well, I mean, I look, just as a completely non-wedding specific example, I look at how my daughter listens to music, right? And it's been forever since I was a teenager and listening to music with my friends and so on and so forth. And when I ask her what she's listening to, she's like, don't you know what people are listening to? And I'm like, but I don't, because I'm not in that world anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing. The second I step out of being a professional wedding photographer, I think there's still a lot I can teach, and I can teach by example and by having been in business for 15 years. But in terms of staying current, it's like buying a car and watching it depreciate. After about 18 months, I'm not going to know what the kids are doing these days.
Well, then that begs a good question, though. So I love online education, and it sounds like a cliche, but I consider myself a lifelong learner, right? So
as you should be.
Especially in photography, I mean, there's always a new gadget, a new drone, a new computer, a new graphics tablet.
Something new and something figured out how to do with exposures and light. I mean, there's always something new.
Always something new. So by the way that you've crafted the wedding school, I think you kind of touched on it a little bit before, but are you updating the modules as things change in the industry? So for example, if you have a module on best ways to diffuse an argument between, family members, and then someone else comes up with this awesome psychological Jedi mind trick. Can you add that? Can you add that in there later?
And that's kind of why we're so excited about the wedding school, is because everything that I've ever done before, any other learning opportunity or book or class or anything I've ever done, had an end date.
Yeah.
The date that it was over, it was just over. And then the information's out there at the end. But with the wedding school being an ongoing, continually growing thing, as we go through the years, as things change, as different social media platforms become more popular and some become less popular, we will have the ability to continually stay current. So people don't come to the wedding school and think, oh, great, this information would have been super helpful if I'd signed up in 2015.
Right.
But now in 2020, it's not that helpful.
Yeah, we have this brand new social network that they're not even addressing. How come they're not talking about, conflabber.com?
Photo skills, like teaching aperture and teaching shutter speed.
Yeah.
10 years from now, we'll still be teaching the same things because it's fundamentals for a reason. But the nuances, the ability to constantly be adding to that learning library. You want someone that comes in 3 years from now to be coming in on the cutting edge, and 3 years after that.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I had a chance to look inside the school, and it's really beautiful the way you guys have laid it out.
Thank you.
I mean, to say it's professional looking, I think is not the right word, because what else would it be? It's of course it's professional. It's like saying someone, "Hey, Susan, you're really articulate." Of course.
You're like, thanks. No, we worked really hard, and that's where it's been wonderful having the partners that I have in the wedding school and working with the web design team that we've been working with. We put these things together, we put them out there, we test them, we show them to students in the school, and we say, is this intuitive to you? We did a soft launch to sort of a small group that was kind of my core audience, and we let them come in and kick around and say, what doesn't work? What doesn't make sense? How can this make more sense to you?
Yeah.
And you don't realize when you're building a project, when you're building a website, you know what you're building.
Yep.
And if you've left out a frequently asked question, or if you've described something in a way that makes sense to you but not other people, how are you going to know?
Absolutely.
Until other people see it.
Because you're only one person. You have one perspective.
Yeah.
It's like when you write a paragraph and you use the word "the" twice in a sentence right next to each other, you never see it.
Nope.
Until someone else looks at it and say, "Hey, why did you say the?" You're like,
but it also makes sense to you because it's your idea. You created it. Of course, the website copy makes sense and is easy and intuitive because it's your baby. You built it.
Right.
But it was really helpful and I was ready to launch. I'm like, let's do this thing. But one of my partners, Craig Swanson, he's like, we can't do that. We need to soft launch because what if there are problems? Mm-hmm. And I had not thought about that.
The so voice it was very
helpful. Yeah. And it ended up catching a bunch of questions that people had that I didn't anticipate.
Yeah.
And changed a few things functionality wise that we didn't see as issues that were issues. So we're really glad we did that. And now it's beautiful. And our web designers are just continually, they're so amazing. They continually keep tweaking it and moving it based on changes, and it just keeps looking better and better. So
that's great. That's great. Okay, so here's the I got to throw you a curveball.
Uh-oh.
So on This Week in Photo, several episodes ago, we were talking about lynda.com. It was an episode we were talking about the online education industry. So Lynda got absorbed into LinkedIn, obviously.
Yes,
they're still around, but they're not gone, but they're no longer this independent online education behemoth that's solo. Kelby just wrote his blog post and said he's doing all this magical reorging and laid a bunch of people off.
Yes.
Our friend RC Concepcion was one of them.
Yeah.
So all that's happening. And then several other folks we've seen reorg in the online education space. Creative Live. I know you guys, part of your founders, kind of have some Creative Live DNA in them. So Creative Live is still going.
They are.
But, and I posited on the show, I was like, well, is this a validation of Creative Live's business model that the other guys have failed and they haven't? Or is it a yet or what? Right. So in the context of all that and all that fray and uncertainty, you guys are launching a brand new school. And all that. It's like, damn the icebergs, full speed ahead. Right. So why? Tell me why.
Well, it's interesting. And we keep saying the same phrase over and over again. All of us who are working on the wedding school, we feel like everything that we have done before has led to this. Mm-hmm. All of the building of other educational platforms. I wrote books for years and years for wedding photographers that I self-published. They led to workshops, which led to some online education for Creative Live, which led to speaking at conventions. And the whole time I just kept thinking, what if there was just one place for everything that was continually growing? That's a cool idea.
Yeah.
And with Craig and George and Aaron, when we all got together and we all started brainstorming, everyone's talents really came to the forefront. And we thought if we put all of our skills together and harness them for the power of good, we could build something specific. And the thing with a lot of other, learning, like online learning platforms, they try to be everything to everybody, right? Big generic classes, wedding photography 101 for multiple days. Like it's tough. It's a lot of education and you have to sift through it to find what you need.
Yeah.
And I tune out on that stuff. I think about how I learn. So if I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch someone's 1 to 3 to 5 to 30-day class, I'm going to go there wanting to get specific things out of it. And I have to queue up the video that plays for 8 straight hours and just watch it until I get to where I need to go. Mm-hmm. You can do that with what we have. But what makes us a little bit different is you can also jump around to where you need to go. So when you watch a video, if it's an hour long, you see kind of a table of contents running down the side and you can skip to exactly where you want to go.
Oh,
like if you're watching the marketing video and you want to go straight to Instagram for business, you can go straight there.
But you can let it play continuously if you want.
Yes.
See, that's good because I don't hate it, but I like to be able to do that random access thing on online training, but sometimes I just want to work on my computer and edit some photos
and just let it go.
Have it be playing in the background, and then I'll hear something like, let me go back and watch that segment again and click and go back to it.
And the other thing with trying to be kind of, I don't want to say, and it's not a bad thing to try to appeal to a huge audience. It's not. But we thought with all of this information out there that's so big and vast and sweeping, why don't we build something that is very specifically tailored to one very specific set of photographers, wedding photographers? Yeah. Boom.
Yeah.
The end.
The vertical. Yeah.
There it is. And so, yes, we realize that we're never, the audience is going to be smaller, but it's going to be more specialized. And there's nothing out there that just goes straight to wedding photographers in a specialized way like that. So we saw that sort of missing puzzle piece in the industry, and we are going to jam our puzzle piece into it as hard as we possibly can.
I love it. So then at the end of this process, is there a certification or a certificate or some?
It's not right now because it is continual ongoing education. And that's one of the things the certification process is something that we're definitely talking about down the road. But before we become something that people become certified in, we want us to become something that people trust first.
Yep.
Anybody can throw up a course and slap a certificate on the end of it. We want it to really mean something when we do.
Sure. It's got to be hard to get. That's the key, right? So what about association? So we've got NAPP, National Association of Photoshop Professionals from Kelby and team and all that. What about an NAWP?
We have thought about that. I mean, these are, our first year is very much dedicated to building the content and getting it out there, putting it out there, having people trust us and realize that we are a good resource. We really are trying to help as much as we can.
Sure.
And then down the road, certifications and things like that are definitely something that are incredibly important to me.
Yeah.
So it's on our multi-year.
I love it. See, we're thinking the same way.
I told you I don't sleep. We've discussed this.
That's crazy. You guys are made of some other substance. I don't know. My body, for some reason, requires sleep. I'm pumping caffeine in here, but still, you know.
I am literally made of 95% espresso at this point.
That's good. I'm going to try that today.
It's fun. Like it's very, very, very exciting to be building something very cool that I legitimately do see really helping the industry, and working alongside 3 really talented guys as business partners. It's why you go into business, right?
Yep.
Do something good and help people out and work with cool people.
Yeah, and that's how you are able to answer emails in the middle of the night, because if you were working for a corporation and you're like, oh, here's my boss emailing me again about that TPS report, right? You're gonna be, a little bit negative. But if it's something that's directly building your personal thing or empire or whatever you want to call it, then it's like, oh, cool. Yeah, that's a great idea. Let me blah, 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 blah.
It's 2 a.m. and I'm laying down and I haven't been to sleep, but I'm totally going to write this right now.
Exactly. See, and that's what it's all about.
So 2 of us never sleep. The other 2 appear to have more slightly healthy lifestyles, but they just carry us along. It's fun.
I love it. You balance. It's the yin yang. There you go.
We try.
I love it. So, okay, let's wrap this up and talk about, you've got open enrollment coming. You kind of hinted at that in the beginning. How does that work?
April. So basically we open up and then we close down, because we want to be able to take people through the school in a very organized manner, instead of just constantly a free for all in there. So we're opening enrollment up the week of April 19th. It's normally $599, but it will be on sale for $349.
Cool.
And during that week, we will have several live days. So if people are not entirely certain, they kind of want to see what it's going to look like, we have 3 days of live programming for about 5 hours a day. So they'll be able to stop by and check it out with no commitment whatsoever.
Yeah.
But then if they do decide to be part of the school, everything that they watch on the live day becomes assimilated into the learning library, and then they're open up to everything.
It's like an open house almost.
Pretty much. And it's a 6-week walkthrough process where we'll take them through each of the pillars, so on and so forth. But they'll have access to the live things that they've been watching. So I know there are a lot of people who've been curious, and especially in the first 2 rounds of enrollment, when they're trying to see where we're headed with this. But the people we've got lined up to come out in April, it's just mind-numbingly exciting. And like, I'm excited about it. Legitimately, me as a learner, am excited to have these people teaching. Cool. They're the best of the best.
You got to love that. And it's April 19th through what day?
So we are live. I will pull the date for you. I was literally just looking at it. See, when you don't sleep, all of your dates sort of blur together.
Trust me, yeah, I know.
19th, 20th, and 21st are our live days.
Okay, perfect. And that's open enrollment. And
enrollment will extend a little bit past those live days.
Yeah.
But if you want to see any of it live, the 19th, 20th, and 21st, and there will be a page on our website where you can go in and plug in what time zone you're watching from, and it will tell you what times the live events are. Because I know that if you look at it and it says like, oh, Pacific time or oh, Eastern time, and you're trying to add it up in your head, we put down a drop down that just tells you what time you need to wake up.
Perfect. I think we should do away with time zones completely. Pretty
much, yeah. I was reading an article today that said that we should do away with the monthly calendar. It was actually kind of fascinating, talking about if you just gave every day, every month, 28 days, then every single like Mondays would always be the second. And but it actually made perfect sense when I looked at it.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
At the end of it, you got 2 free days for holidays.
Yeah. Good luck with that. We can't even agree on normal things that are obvious in our political system. Imagine trying to change the time.
Can you even imagine?
No, I got a headache thinking about it.
Pretty much, which just means I need to make another espresso when we're done talking.
I'm going to do that. Okay, so this is April 19th, 2021. Yeah. And what's the URL for the wedding school?
Theweddingschool.net.
Theweddingschool.net. Awesome. Yeah. Congratulations to all you guys on that.
Thank you.
That's really crushing it. I'm anxious. We're going to be checking in with you over the next couple months to see how things are going. That's crazy. You guys you're doing cool stuff, and I think it's a much needed resource in the industry that, we joked around a lot about, online education and Kelby and Linda and all that stuff, but it's right place, right time right now. I think there's a vacuum in terms of education around this sort of thing, and bringing it all together into one tight solar system, I think makes a whole lot of sense. So congratulations.
Yeah. And I think online education is going to be fine. I just think, maybe trying to be everything to everybody doesn't work for everyone. Yeah. So with a little retooling and restructuring, everybody will be okay.
That's
we
right.
just want to be okay first.
Change is
We'll be there
good.
for you.
Yeah, change is good. Change is good.
Change is good. You know, as much as we don't like it, change is good.
So the weddingschool.net is the URL. And what about your stuff? If people want to come check out your wedding photography and all that, where should they go?
You can totally do that. I'm at susanstripling.com.
susanstripling.com. Susan, thanks a lot. I appreciate taking your time.
Welcome. Anytime.
Okay, thanks a lot. See you later.
Bye.